lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Manny.
And we are back talking some new books. We're talking one of our favorite books from this week that came out, Birds of Prey #1 by Kelly Thompson, Leonardo Romero, and colorist extraordinary Jordie Bellaire. I mean, I feel like there's at least like 10 books. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but 10 books that she colors a month that I read. I mean, she colors.
There's usually at least 4 or 5, man. I mean, you might be exaggerating, but there's multiple. I mean, she may be becoming my favorite like current colorist, and this issue will show you.
Yeah, this is a great book. I've been a huge fan of Birds of Prey since the original team, when it was just Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and Dinah, Dinah, Black Canary. And then they got Huntress. And then that was all it was for the longest time. But since then, it's gone through many iterations, many teammates. I think, I'll just talk the lineup real quick. I also got the Chris Pachalo cover.
Nice.
I couldn't not get that. I love Chris Pachalo.
So do I. I didn't get that one, but
it's just so good.
It is, man.
I don't get this.
The
Wonder Woman. I think it's funny. Harley Quinn's got her with the last one, says, now tell the truth. I'm always a fan when they have like dialogue on the covers. But anyway, so we have Black Canary, and we're gonna see how this team comes together. But like, it tells you on the cover who you get. You get Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, another one of my favorites. Her creation in I think it was like 99, maybe 2000. But I loved her series. Her solo series is great. You got Big Barda. I'm a huge New Gods fan, obviously. Zealot from Wildcats, which was kind of a weird pick, but also a weird pick was Harley Quinn.
So it's a weird team. It almost has like a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, and how like weird and from different corners that you're pulling here. It's interesting.
And we open up. What's important to note is it takes place after Green Arrow 6. So Green Arrow is at issue 3 right now. He's like lost in the future, space, multiverse type story. So it's like there's some weird shit going on with him, but obviously he was always going to come back. So he's having this conversation with Dinah. I love the dialogue between them. Kelly Thompson does it perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, these two have always been one of my favorite couples in comics. It's nice to open the issue this way. It feels like almost like a return to home, and like you said, like Kelly Thompson really nails their relationship and the way they talk to each other. Like, these seem like two people that have been together for a long time, and that just comes across in their dialogue. Like, even if this is the first time you're reading these two, just from the way it's being written, you can tell that these are two people that have been together for a while.
Yeah, and I like that, as she's talking about having to put this team together, and his problem is that Barbara is not a part of the team, because that's what he's worried about. Like, who's going to watch her back? I don't know if you're familiar with the character of Sin. I believe she was created during Gail Simone's long Birds of Prey run. It's kind of cool to get that call back. I don't think we've seen Sin for a while. So like, that's basically the whole thing. Is this is all about Sin and saving her from whatever it is that's happening. But and then this page too, because I mean, look, he's talking about like, there's nobody that you can trust 100%. Nobody on this team that you've told me. You can see all the names crossed off. Like, you see Barbara, obviously Vixen, Huntress, Shiva, Selena, Talia.
You see Fire and Ice.
Yeah, so like, there's a whole slew of people that she's just crossed off. So like, I mean, obviously, like, you know who the team is because you can see the cover, but it would have been kind of cool if like you didn't know the team, if like you could have kept that a mystery somehow. But I know there's no way to do it. But then you jump in with Cassandra Cain, and this is another thing that I like, is every time we're introduced to a new character, you kind of get like her thoughts on them. And she is one of the best fighters in the DCU, hands down. Like, she can read people, like that's her thing. She reads people and their body movement, so she can tell what they're going to do right before they're doing it, just by the way that, because I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she like didn't talk.
Yeah, I remember. I read some of the, like, when Damian Scott was doing the art for her series.
Oh, okay. So you read that series? Nice.
I remember really liking it. So yeah, and I've always loved her costume, like the way that the mouth is covered up and like just the stitching on it. I always thought it was very striking image, and I'm glad that they're keeping that for for the character, because it's it's a subtle yet like big thing at the same time that makes her costume very unique.
Right here, dude. This double page spread.
I mean, this page sold me right away. On not only on the artist who I have to say I had never really heard of Leonardo Romero, but I mean I'm going to be paying attention now because this page is amazing, and it like I think I told you when we were chatting, and planning on the recording, was that I got like a lot of Nightwing vibes from this comic book,
Yeah.
and like the execution and just like the care brought to the characters and like the way everything's being presented, and I think this page is a great example of that. I mean, this is the kind of like really cool experimentation that you see in Nightwing, and I'm starting to see DC doing more and more of this in some other books.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that this wasn't just like, talk on the internet, but I feel like I read somewhere Kelly Thompson was like, or they were asking her like, "Oh, is this only going to be a mini series?" Like, and she basically said she's not going to come over to do her first DC book, especially Birds of Prey, and have it only be a mini series, which tells you like, I think at least on her end, she has plans to do a lot,
Right.
but it also hasn't been solicited as a mini series.
And
So
Birds of Prey is a marquee title for DC too. Like
Yeah.
it's something that they would want as an ongoing because it has a huge fan base going back, over 20 years almost now.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's
this
one
page
of
is
the
so
best
good,
teams.
though.
It is. It's such a great page.
Yeah.
The coloring on this page, like this, like magenta right here.
Yeah, I love that. I
It's so
love like the
weird, yeah.
blue of the buildings, and like
Yeah.
I think I mentioned to you right before we started recording. Like, I mean, Jordie Bellaire seems to be doing something different here.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's like a desaturation. Maybe that's what I'm noticing, but she's doing the same level of work that she's done before. But I see like a slight difference that really pops.
I wouldn't have picked this out as a Jordie Bellaire coloring job if you didn't tell me it was. I think that's what's
Yeah,
cool is that even a colorist can kind of surprise you and switch up the style and switch up the palette enough that where it has a different vibe to their other works.
and great lettering too here.
Yeah, in the
By Clayton Cowles. I love the
Yeah.
way some like the H, those H's are kind of curling around them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I love when they get inventive like that with the onomatopoeia, and like it's fantastic, man.
Yeah, they stretch
Great,
it out.
great.
They're stretching it out right here. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great way to play with like the movement, and I mean those two pages are a great example of like everyone that's working on the comic working in great synchronicity. I love how they capture like you said earlier that like Cassandra Cain like used to not talk, so like I love how she's still very much limited in the way she talks. She doesn't really say a whole lot, lots of
Yeah.
one-word answers. Like she's not big on conversation, but you get this great scene between her and Black Canary, and
Oh, I
Black
love it,
Canary.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, Black Canary is basically like you said, recruiting everybody, and as soon as she tells Cassandra like, "Hey, you got to go on this mission with me. We can't tell Barbara, and we need to recruit other people." And she tells her it's for her sister. Cassandra's like on board right away. Like she says, "Of course, what's more important than a sister?"
Well, yeah,
And
Cassandra Cain is one of the great Bat family characters. Like that. It's not often where you get a new one where they really stick and have lasting staying power. I don't know if that's more of like the newer stuff that comes out, like Duke Thomas. He hasn't really like hit, like he was around,
Yeah.
but he's gone. But Cassandra was like such a mainstay for such a long time. So she's built these relationships, and it's cool to see them finally kind of being reconnected, especially like post when they started bringing back more of the Young Justice characters and the fucking all those characters that were kind of gone because of New 52, and even in Rebirth, they weren't fully back yet. So to see this kind of back at the forefront, and to see like you can tell, like even though she's wearing that mask, like just by what she says, like she has a respect for Black Canary and a love, because Black Canary is kind of, because of the connection with Barbara, is somewhat part of the Bat family, I would consider.
Yeah, I've always considered Black Canary like a second cousin in the Bat family.
Yeah.
Like.
So I love this this jump too.
Dude,
like this color,
that
the
panel
sky.
and the magenta again, like great panel, man. And just like the way that the figures like slightly, go into the other panels. I mean, again, subtle work being done, and this is a great artist that I'm gonna look up and see what else they've done, because I'm interested in seeing more work from them.
Yeah, we get to Los Angeles, And we got Big Barda over here. I love that I mean, they don't say that it's her bar, but I love that it's called Big Bar.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was pretty fun. I mean, because like, why would she have a bar? First of all, why is she in Los Angeles? I don't think there's any explanation, but we don't really need it. I love to like really to show how imposing she is. She's huge, dude. And this
Yeah.
and like to watch her, she's taking out these like they almost look like a vampire from like Apocalypse, like the way they're designed. I love how Batgirl jumps in and she's like hi and whack just like throws her. But then this is what's really dope. Like that face kind of has like a Jack Kirby vibe to me. I don't know if you like
Totally,
picked
dude.
up on that,
100%.
but those two faces where she's in this first panel you see her, and then in the following page when you see her, it has like total Jack Kirby vibes. And then
100%.
and
100%.
she
I hadn't
says
noticed it until you mentioned it, but you're
yeah,
right.
she says she's like sorry for hitting her. She's not even talking. Cassandra's just like there. And she's like, I'm impressed you're still conscious, small bat. Most could not withstand a direct hit from Big Barda, although I think perhaps you dodged the full force. And she's just like, yes, even more impressive. So, you know,
Thanks.
like she could even tell that like you shouldn't have survived that punch. You know, you should be dead. But that also speaks to Cassandra and how skillful she is, how she can see, even though she couldn't completely prevent herself from getting hit, she still was able to roll with that punch
Yeah,
and
I mean,
dodge it somewhat.
she just dodged and took a little bit of a punch from a fucking new god,
Yeah.
essentially. You know, like
And
I
dude,
love
just
this page too.
the action scenes, dude, are just so good in this book. Like
Yeah,
this
man.
has got to be like, I hate to use like breakout hit or something like that, but I feel like this could be one of those books that just starts
I agree.
picking up steam, dude.
I agree. I mean, and again, look at this. Look at this beautiful page, man. I love like the yellow souls under Batgirl's costume, like the
Mhm.
speed lines, like the those last panels with at the bottom right there, like with the figure imposed over them. Like it's just it's so good, man.
Yeah, I think that, and I love the through line, you know, like Barda is not wanting to help, but then she mentioned Sin. And Barda
Yeah.
was at one point briefly a member of Birds of Prey back in the
Yes.
2000s. So, you know, like that's all it needed to take was for her to come in and help the team. And then we're in Star City. Now we're with Zealot and and Grifter. And I'm
Yeah.
still like this relationship between them with this new iteration of Wildcats is still I mean, it's not that it doesn't make sense, but it's still like it was never a thing in the old Wildcats. So for them
No,
to kind of
no.
go full force with it here, it's
I think
fine.
that's a Matt Rosenberg thing he's done in the ongoing
Yeah.
Wildcats.
But you know, like she can hear this bird call, right?
Yeah.
And so she tries to do the bird call back. Does that little whistle. And I think it's kind of funny that that's how she gets called because she owes Dinah a favor. And now
Hmm.
Dinah's calling in that favor. And she's like, it's not gonna be easy. And she's like, I didn't expect it to be easy if you were calling in this favor. I like this design for her,
I do
actually. I
too.
think it's kind of dope.
Yeah, it's got like a samurai kind of vibe to it, you
Mhm.
know?
But now we get the team, and this is where the humor is now entering it because there's been a little bit of humor in the book, but like now that the team's coming together, and that's one thing that we didn't mention that Ollie said to Dinah is like, this is the type of team that when you see them coming down the alley, they're gonna shit their pants. You know,
Yeah.
like that you would not want to cross this group, and it's true. Look at them. I mean, all
You
of
got
them
like an
together.
intergalactic fucking warrior. You got a new god. You got possibly one of the world's top three deadliest fighters and assassins.
Yeah.
Like I mean, yeah, like you said, it's an impressive team.
So this. I love the way they do this page because they're looking for some, you know, a kind of the X factor, right? Like, what are they going
The
to do?
wild card.
The wild card, yeah. So Batgirl says, "I have an idea, Harley Quinn," and Dinah just very nicely, she's like, "Absolutely
Absolutely,
not,"
yeah.
and she's like, "Here,
It's
let me
like
tell you a story." I love this too. This flashback, the way the color again. You talk about desaturation. Look at this, dude. Like this is
yeah,
just
dude.
phenomenal. Batgirl comes across Harley and they fight. And so it's funny because we're signifying Batgirl's not power, but ability to see ahead by her inner dialogue. So she says frying pan,
Yeah.
and as she says frying pan, it ends up being a fish that Harley goes
Yeah.
after, right? And then she's like, Eagle Club. And then she's like, oh shit, Leopard Punch. That's how it's signifying not only Cassandra's power, but also the unpredictability of Harley, because you can't predict her. She's unpredictable. And
Yeah.
to show it in that way was
It was
brilliant
very
because
clever.
yeah, because that's how you get the fucking X factor, right? And they even say like that was hardly a story, you barely spoke, you know?
Yeah,
And
that made me laugh out loud.
so look, they're gonna she basically, like, bottom line, convinces them all that like we should go after her. But as they go to Harley, Harley's like, and this is also, I think, a great Harley moment. And I think that that's the great part about this book is you have great moments for each one of these characters, right? Like, and you showcase each of them in such a great light. Because, you know, Harley, I wouldn't even, I mean, I guess some people are kind of calling her like the Deadpool of DC, just in terms of like kind of like an anti-hero. You know, she breaks the fourth wall, stuff like that. I think that kind of undersells what makes Harley
I believe
cool.
too. I think it's just an easy,
Easy
almost
comparison.
is easy comparison that sort of glosses over like the idiosyncrasies and like details that make Harley such a great character on her own, you know.
But look, she's like, she calls them a kill squad, and she's like, actually, if you play your cards right, we want you on the team. So it's like, she's not even saying we want you on the team. It's like, we're gonna do you a favor and let you on the team if you behave. And Harley immediately is like, you know, she's doesn't like that. You know, she's like, don't, basically calls her out. It's like, you act like you're doing me a favor. You came here with your smug hero attitude.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's
I love this empowered Harley too. Like, I really do love what they've done with the character, like taking her away from the Joker. Like, she's become such a much stronger character for it, you know.
mhm. And Batgirl
And you
has to
see it in
pull
this
Dinah
season.
back. She's like, for sin, Dinah. And that's where, you know, Harley's like, oh, sin. I mean, I can maybe be convinced if there's sin on the table. What do? They pull her in also because Sin is only a 16-year-old girl. And that's what Harley, like, it pulls on Harley's heartstrings. And that's
Yeah,
something
she's
that,
like,
like,
isn't she just a kid? She's 16. All
yeah,
right, I'm in.
I'm here to make sure cool ass little girls get to grow up and become cool ass women. I'm in, you know? Then we get the team at their base of operations, and now we get the, I don't want to say cliffhanger, but yeah, I guess kind of like the hook of what we're gonna expect. And this is a new character that I've never seen before, Meridian, and she's from the
Yeah, I
future.
hadn't seen her. I was going to ask you since you have a little more knowledge of Birds of Prey, but I guess it's not a character from the past.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a new character. I'm interested to see what happens, because it's all about how Sin is trapped by the Amazons, and it might accidentally bring about the end of the world. So that this is the hook for the series. I think I even like the next. We've made a horrible mistake.
I like how little Harley's no fucking way.
Yeah. So yeah,
Everyone's all stoic and she's laughing. Yeah.
it was such a good book. I can't recommend it enough. I think that, you know, I wouldn't say the entire Dawn of DC line is like you know, like the initiative
It,
overall, but I think there's a lot of cool titles, especially the ones that aren't like the big three characters. Although
yes.
the new Wonder Woman looks like it's going to be good. I've been hearing good things about the new Flash that's coming up, you know, like comparing it to, like, I mean, I think it's reaching, but Alan Moore's Swamp Thing and how he redid the character, they're like kind of saying
All
that with
right. I mean
yeah.
that kind of hook will get me to buy the first issue, but that's some big shoes to fill, you know?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see kind of what comes from that. But either way, I think Birds of Prey is another great addition to you know, already a awesome stable of
Dude,
DC
yeah.
books that I'm
My
loving.
pull list is definitely heavier on DC than Marvel these days.
Go pick it
Uh,
up, go check it out. Go, you know, if you haven't checked out some of the other DC stuff that's coming out, like Nightwing, obviously is really good. World's Finest, really good. A lot of great stuff.
oh yeah, World's Finest Teen Titans. You know,
Oh yeah,
there's
World's Finest Teen Titans as well. Yeah, and Titans is good. So there's some
Mhm.
cool stuff coming up that hasn't come out yet. Make sure you check it out. While you're at it, make sure you follow us on social media. All the links are down below. Hit the subscribe button so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, we're out.
See you next time, guys.